Hello, I'm Steve Barnett, Superintendent of the Paulding County School District. Welcome to our online presentation on the proposed attendance boundary for the new Crossroads Middle School. We are so excited to see the new school taking shape as construction is moving along on schedule. The school is going to be a great source of community and pride for years to come. Tonight, our Public Information Officer, Jay Dillon, and former Associate Superintendent, Dr. Susan Browning, will be sharing a lot of great information with you about why and how the proposed attendance boundary was developed, what the next steps are, and of course, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback using the Slido module underneath this video. Before we get to that, I have a special announcement to make. On Tuesday, December 12th, we selected the inaugural principal of the school, and he's here with me tonight. I want to introduce you to the principal of Crossroads Middle School, Tom Alverson.
Thank you, Mr. Barnett.
Many of you may already know Tom because he is currently the principal at East Paulding Middle School. In fact, Tom is one of our more seasoned middle school principals with deep roots in the area. Tom has the unique qualification of being on staff for 3 school openings, including all 3 levels. He has served as a teacher or administrator at Russell Elementary, McClure Middle, and North Paulding High School, before serving as principal of East Paulding Middle School for the last 8 years. He has done a tremendous job at East, where he's known for open communication with parents, steady leadership of staff, and a warm personality that resonates with his students. We are excited to see him bring those skills to Crossroads Middle School. So again, welcome, Tom.
Thank you again, Mr. Barnett. I appreciate you inviting me here today. I'm excited for this opportunity, and I'm grateful that you and our school board members have trusted me with such an important responsibility. I know there's a lot of excitement and anticipation in the Crossroads community, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Great. Well, thanks, Tom. We can't wait for you to get started. Needless to say, we will now prioritize selecting a new principal for East Paulding Middle School and hope to have that announcement for you very soon. Okay, as a lead-in before we get to our presentation, we thought you would want to see a quick 3-minute video about how the construction of Crossroads Middle School is coming along. Last Saturday, I had the opportunity to tour the construction site with representatives from the school board, our county government, and the construction management firm overseeing the project. Despite the soggy weather, I'm pleased to say that everything looks great, and we are thrilled with the progress that is happening daily. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation, and I want to thank you for your participation. Please never forget that your involvement in our schools is what makes them great. Again, thanks, and have a wonderful evening. So we were super excited to host not only the Board of Education here today, but also county commissioners, members of our staff, Paulding Department of Transportation, RKR Construction, who is our construction manager on this new middle school. And so Crossroads Middle School is coming along great. We're on track to open next school year. So this facility will be open in August. We'll be ready to greet our students here. So a lot is going on that you don't necessarily see from the road, from Cedar Crest, because this is about 75 acres of land. And so a lot of work's going on, and you can't see it necessarily from the main roads, including an extension to the Harmony Grove Church road. The traffic signal there at Cedar Crest and Harmony Grove Church, a lot of work's been going on with that, with the county, and so we talked a lot about that. Again, you don't necessarily see that because a lot of it's in design and it's set off the road. So over the next several months, we'll be completing the construction. Counting will be completed the work on the road, so we'll have 2 access points onto this campus. And so we're just super excited that things are going so well, and ready to greet students in August.
At this stage of the game, this is December of 2023, and what you see behind me is building, and we're really close to having it dried in. So you see that black stuff on the wall, that's damp proofing. The roofing is very close to being complete. So inside is dry, although we're out here on a wet day. Inside is dry and work is continuing. And right as we get into the really rainy months of the winter, you will position the contractors to be in a good spot to really accelerate the rest of the work that happens on the inside. Inside the building, a once it opens, in the heart of the building, you're going to find the cafetorium, and you'll find right across from that a great state-of-the-art media center. And right close to the media center, we'll have our STEM lab. So all cutting-edge features right in the center of the building. Design plenty of science lab, plenty of classrooms to just further our educational capacity that much farther. You see that this is a 70-acre or so site positioned right here off Seven Hills Connector. Lots of work that happened to make this site possible, and we're really excited to see it coming together.
Hello, I'm Jay Dillon, Public Information Officer for the Paulding County School District. First, I want to follow up on Mr. Barnett's comments and just say how excited we are about the progress on Crossroads Middle School and how construction is on schedule and the new facility is really looking great. We can't wait for the new school to open in August, but there's a lot of work to be done between now and then. And one of the most important tasks is determining an attendance zone around the new school. As part of our communications efforts, we want to be as open and transparent about this process as possible. Tonight's presentation hopefully will provide a clear explanation about how the proposed attendance boundary for Crossroads Middle School was drawn and the factors that were considered. We'll be talking about the process, including forecasted enrollment, school choice, and next steps. And to help with the details, I'm joined tonight by Dr. Susan Browning. Dr. Browning recently retired from the school district as Associate Superintendent, and she's since served as a valuable consultant who has helped with the Crossroads attendance boundary process, among other things. So welcome, Dr. Browning.
Thank you, Jay. It's great to be here with everyone tonight.
Okay, so the most important part of any attendance boundary process is hearing from the families who will be impacted. Since you're watching this presentation, you already know we've set up a website where all the information related to this process has been compiled in one place. The website also has a feedback tool called Slido, where we can take your questions and provide answers in real time. We have staff on hand who will be doing that tonight, so please feel free to use the Slido module beneath this video to submit any questions you may have. Please keep in mind, though, that the Slido tool has been active now for a couple of weeks, so your question may have already been asked and answered. You can scroll through the questions that have already been posted along with the responses. And hopefully, the information we provide tonight will help answer any remaining questions. But if not, feel free to ask away. We'll leave this video and the Slido Q&A on the website until the final attendance boundary is approved by the school board next month. So the format tonight will be for me to prompt Dr. Browning with a few common questions and let her provide the answers. So let's start with this basic one. Why are we having to adjust attendance boundaries in the first place?
Adjustments to attendance boundaries are typically made to address changes in student enrollment. As you know, Paulding County is continuing to grow and at a pretty steady rate. This growth can be seen across our county, but most recently in our north and northeastern regions. Let's look at these two maps. These two maps start to tell the story of growth in this region of our district. The map to the left is the student density within Paulding County. It shows where students currently reside within the county. The lightly colored regions are sparse areas with fewer students, and dark regions are denser. The yellow regions represent the areas of the county that are most dense with students. The map on the right, however, shows the active, planned, and future residential developments within our county. When you look at the two maps together, you can see that the region in the northeastern is both currently dense with students and has a lot of residential development. On the next slide, we start to look at the planned residential developments within these middle school districts. You can see that the potential for further growth not outlined in these maps is still possible. This map represents the zoning in McClure Middle School boundary. The section of the map in pink represent planned residential developments, or PRDs. These are developments that have already been approved for residential housing. You can see on this map that there are large sections of PRDs in the McClure boundary that have not started to build out yet. This second map of PRDs is from East Paulding Middle School boundary. Again, you can see the large sections that are zoned as PRDs that have not yet begun, specifically in the Mount Tabor Church Road and drag strip area. And finally, the Moses Middle School boundary. Again, you see large sections that are zoned as PRDs. Without our proposed boundaries for Crossroads Middle School, the planned development impacts the student capacity in all three of these schools. This slide shows you what the current enrollment is for East Paulding Middle School, Moses Middle School, and McClure. As you see, the first column indicates that the current enrollment is approaching capacity for East, under capacity for Moses, and over capacity for McClure. But between the current density in these areas, the growth we are experiencing, and the potential future growth, the forecasted enrollment for this region exceeds the current number of available seats in our middle schools in this region.
So thank you for that. So you talked about forecasted enrollment. What does that mean, and how is forecasted enrollment calculated?
Great question. So forecasted enrollment or projected enrollment is a calculation of how many students we expect to be at a school in the future. Let's look at this next slide to see how that's calculated. To come up with these forecasts, the school district contracts with a national demographer. Annually, our demographer updates district mapping files, analyzes the district's past 4 years of geocoded student data files, develops and researches pertinent demographic data in and around the district. This data includes birth rate, current enrollment, and enrollment trends by area, as well as identifies the current and future residential development plans and prepares a 10-year student population forecast.
All right, so for the next question, that sounds like a great deal of information and a lengthy process for sure. Once you have an idea of how many students are going to live in a certain region next year, 5 years, and even 10 years from now,
Right.
How do you go about creating attendance boundaries?
It's a lengthy process that takes our demographer many months to develop. But once we have this information, we go about the business of making decisions about our school capacity and our school boundary lines. These decisions are based upon the guiding principles and criteria you're going to see on this next slide. The guiding principles include prioritizing access to equitable instructional programs, alleviating overcrowded schools, and balancing enrollments, minimizing the disruption to the greatest number of students, and complying with our board policy JBCCA. The criteria are broken down into primary and secondary criteria. The most essential criteria, however, is creating attendance boundaries that will allow for an enrollment that falls within our instructional capacity of the school for current and future enrollment. Essentially, we create a boundary that will have a student enrollment that falls within the school's instructional capacity both for the upcoming year and future years. If the capacity of a school is 800 students, we want to create boundaries that will yield fewer than 800 students for the upcoming year, but also for as many years into the future as possible. As you see from the secondary criteria, we also consider other factors whenever possible, such as safety and traffic patterns, previous redistricting, balancing of special programs, and school feeder alignment.
So you said whenever possible for some of those secondary criteria. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Paulding County is very unique given its size and the location of its residents. While there are some regions that are more dense, as we saw in the student density map earlier, there are areas that are also very rural and sparse. This makes our secondary criteria very difficult in the redistricting process, such as aligning feeder patterns or intact neighborhoods, and that's due to the size, enrollment, and growth of our district.
Well, thank you for that. That's great information about how attendance zones are developed. Can you tell us a little bit about the proposed attendance boundary for the new Crossroads Middle School and what that looks like.
Great. Let's look at the current middle school attendance boundaries. Here are our current 9 middle school boundary lines. You see each one is unique based on how they are impacted by their student densities. The next slide shows us the proposed middle school attendance boundary, with Crossroads Middle School coming in, being developed from McClure, Moses, and East Paulding Middle Schools District. When we zoom into the Crossroads Middle School District, you see that it encompasses all neighborhoods along the Seven Hills Connector and Seven Hills Boulevard. It also pulls in the neighborhoods north of 381 and the 92 intersection, including Pickett's Mill. It includes Cedar Crest from Crossroads to Harmony Grove Church Road.
So that aligns with one of the questions that we've received and have heard from our community. Why is it that the Crossroads Middle School attendance boundary is so much smaller than some of the other middle school attendance zones? Can it be expanded to include more neighborhoods?
Great question, Jay. The proposed boundary line for the new Crossroads Middle School is one of our district's smallest boundary lines in terms of geographic size, but it is one of our most dense in terms of student population. The reason for this goes back to the student density map that we shared earlier. Let's take another look. As you can see, the area of the district that is the densest with students, those bands in yellow, are directly in the middle of the proposed attendance boundary for Crossroads Middle School. As a matter of fact, if you looked at the number of students that live within a 2-mile radius of each of our middle schools, you will find some amazing statistics. At Scoggins Middle School, if we draw a circle of a 2-mile radius, you would find 163 middle school students within that circle. McClure has 415 in its circle, and East Paulding Middle School has 463. If you can remember how dense Moses Middle School area was, it yields 854 middle school students. And there are more than 1,200 middle school students that live within the 2-mile radius of Crossroads Middle School, just to highlight how dense that area is.
So looking at that diagram, it shows why it's almost impossible for all students to always be zoned to the school that is closest geographically. Is that correct?
Exactly, especially in an area that's as dense as this one in the northeast quadrant of our county.
So if the proposed attendance boundary is approved, then what will student enrollment look like at each of the 4 middle schools impacted?
Well, Jay, if you remember, let's look back at the chart that shows the middle school capacities. This chart outlines the current and forecasted enrollment at East, Moses, and McClure Middle Schools prior to the opening of Crossroads Middle School. McClure Middle School is currently significantly over capacity. It's sitting at almost 140% of ideal capacity. Both East and Moses Middle Schools are forecasted to be over capacity by year 10 at 110% and 131% of capacity respectively. This next bar graph shows us the forecasted enrollment, what those proposed attendance boundaries would look like with Crossroads Middle School open. Enrollment would be more balanced, with schools enrollments sitting between 70 and 93% for at least the next 5 years.
So adding Crossroads Middle School and the 1,000 plus seats for students would seem to make a big difference. But I noticed that the enrollment for East Paulding Middle School and Sammy McClure Middle School seemed to be pretty low in comparison. Why is that?
That's another good question. So if you remember, the East and McClure boundary lines have large planned residential developments within their boundary lines. The Crossroads Middle School has fewer planned residential developments because there's less land to be developed. Let's look at the East Paulding boundary districts. Some of the potential developments in the East Paulding and McClure attendance zones are part of the forecasting because our demographers are aware of a timeline from the builders. And other residential developments do not have definitive timelines for build-out, but need to be considered when creating boundaries for today and tomorrow. By leaving some available space in these schools, the hope is to prevent additional boundary realignments if these residential developments come online and begin building sooner than expected. In the case of the McClure Middle School boundary lines, there are also benefits to keeping enrollment down as they share a campus that currently has just one entrance with both Burnt Hickory Elementary and North Paulding High School.
So we're trying to balance enrollment at the 4 schools in a way that plans for future growth in the region. One common question we've received, and is common with boundary realignment, is around school choice. How is school choice handled, and will any of these schools be open for school choice?
That is a common question about school choice, and the school district has both a policy and a regulation that outlines how students are assigned to schools and school choice options. Policy JBCCA and Regulation JBCCA-R are outlined on our Planning for the Future website, but let's look at the policy to see what it says. The policy and regulation outlines what is called a request to remain process for rising 8th grade students, and the policy says that when attendance zones change, 8th grade students at the time of the zoning change takes effect may attend the school in the new attendance zone, or the student and family may exercise the option to remain in the previously assigned school until the student completes that grade. Families that choose to remain must provide transportation for their student.
What about rising 6th and 7th grade students at East Paulding Middle School, Moses, and McClure? What if they want to remain at the school where they're currently zoned?
So once that request to remain window closes, and we know the number of 8th grade students who are remaining at their current school, the school leadership division will determine if there are seats available at East, Moses, and McClure Middle School to open for school choice.
So there may be school choice options at East Paulding, Moses, and McClure, depending on available seats. But what about at Crossroads?
As a brand new school, Crossroads Middle School will not be open to school choice within its first 3 years. There is information about our student assignment to schools, request to remain, and school choice options, including hardship, on our Planning for the Future website.
So what's the timeline for the request to remain and school choice?
Once an attendance boundary is set on January 9th, information about request to remain will be sent to all rising 8th graders. The window for request to remain will be open from January 10th to 24th. Once completed, the schools available for school choice will be determined, and the school choice window will open from January 25th to February 9th.
All right, Dr. Browning, so what are the next steps in the proposed attendance boundary process?
So the window for feedback will remain open until December 29th. The community can submit questions, recommendations, and feedback through our email address at planningforthefuture@paulding.k12.ga.us or on our Crossroads Attendance Boundary Plan website. Each recommendation is reviewed and its feasibility is considered.
Well, Dr. Browning, I really want to say thank you for being here tonight and for answering these questions for us. I know that our community was greatly interested in this process, and for that reason we really wanted to provide as much information as we possibly could. And this PowerPoint and video will remain on the website so it can be shared, or anybody can come back and look at it anytime they like. And also I want to remind you that the Slido box beneath the video gives you an opportunity to ask questions, and we will review those and respond to them. And we'll leave that up until the final boundary plan is approved by the school board in January. You can also submit questions via email to our Planning for the Future at paulding.k12.ga.us email address. So there are a couple of ways you can submit questions if you have them. Hopefully we've answered as many as possible tonight. And again, the PowerPoint and video will remain online. We really want to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the continuation of this process and can't wait for the opening of Crossroads Middle School next school year.